So just like we did yesterday, guys, let's talk a little bit about the leak again that we had, that 5th generation jets are being worked on and will be added in a soonish kind of future, maybe even this year. And yesterday we talked about the F-22 and the Su-57, but today, what should you expect from the J-20, the third most influential 5th generation jet, or maybe not the third, the fourth maybe, because there is the F-35, but anyway, one of the main competitors out there for a 5th generation jet, right, for the Chinese, and for sure it will be added as very interesting addition for China, right? So just like we did yesterday, we're going to talk about the stealth, the radar, the sensors, right, the performance, and the weapons that it can carry. Let's start with the stealthiness of the aircraft. So, of course, it will have an extremely low RCS, radar cross-section. Some estimates from the US, basically are around 0.01 meters squared, which is a lot higher than, not a lot, but it's higher than the F-22, but maybe probably smaller than the Su-57. So it is in between, maybe, according to these sources, more stealthy than the Su-57, less than the F-22, okay? The design, of course, includes various amounts of features like internal weapons bay, radar absorbent coatings, serrated edges, a shielded exhaust, serpentine inlet ducts. So all these things are designed in the aircraft to be able to be as stealthy as possible, okay? In the radar and RWR, we have the radar with AESA radar, the Type 1475, if I'm not mistaken, or sometimes called the KLJ5. I could not find the range. Some sources claim it's around 200 kilometers of range. Not gonna try to answer that. It's just, it doesn't matter too much. It will have an AESA radar that it's very powerful. And of course, it has an RWR that it's integrated to its MAL system as well, which has basically making sure that missiles coming towards the aircraft will be detected, right? Also, it has an IRST, right? They say it has max range of 180 kilometers. Should be less or more depending on target, right? But in a general sense, it has the whole package of normally Russian designed, right? So the radar, the IRST together, right? And then, of course, it has the RWR and then the MALs as well. So very, very cool to have all these systems, and it will be a very, very good aircraft for BVR. Well, the performance is also important, of course. We have a max speed of around Mach 2, 2.1, which is pretty good. I couldn't find an exact number of low altitude max speed. Some sources were claiming some very weird numbers, so just decided to put them out. Climb rate, 300 meters per second, more or less, so very good performance. Thrust to weight, that's where I think kind of the problem comes up. You should have around 1 to 1.1, of a thrust to weight ratio, right? Which is not the greatest thing ever using the WS-10 engines, right? So in the future, they are planning to add better engines. So we might even have a different version in the future. But at the end of the day, guys, it is not going to be the best in acceleration, maybe. We don't know. I mean, we have to wait and see how Gaijin calculates these things. It's difficult to know in real life. Imagine how Gaijin will calculate, okay? With this climb rate, I kind of doubt that it is that low compared to the other ones. But yeah, it should be pretty good no matter what, right? Of course, the weapons, they are normally, held in a internal bay, like I said before. So yeah, of course, to be as stealthy as possible. But there are under-the-wing pylons that can carry missiles as well in a beast mode mission, if you will, right? The missiles are mainly the PL-10 as the IR-guided missile, which is a missile that will be comparable to the most modern missiles we have out there, so it will have probably around 60 Gs of turn, enough range, to be comparable to something like an IRST, an M9X, an R-74M, stuff like that, okay? So it is a missile that even looks kind of like an IRST, right? So it is a missile that it's going to be, very, very amazing in the amount of turn and energy and just a step up from what we have in the game, right? And for BVR, of course, we have the PL-12, which is a missile that we already use in that tech tree, but also the PL-15, which is a very powerful missile. I don't know if they're going to add this missile for now, but yeah, you would have even an IASA radar, if I'm not mistaken, and ramjets, I think. So it's a little bit different. Probably just the PL-12 for now when it's added, but eventually probably we'll get these missiles. There are plans to add other missiles, but these are the main ones, okay? Apparently, they can use the LS6, bomb and the GPS glide bomb, right? And some sources claim that it can use some form of anti-radiation and anti-ship missiles. But to be honest, air-to-ground stuff, it's probably never going to be used, right? In a general sense. So it's more of an interceptor, okay? It's made to do BVR mainly. That's why it doesn't have a gun. So that's the main problem with it. It does not have a gun. The interesting part is that it can carry basically in the same way as the F-22, right, in a general sense. So it can take, like, it has two side bays that can carry, two PL-10s. And then a main bay where it holds 4 mid-range, long-range missiles, right? So normally it would carry around 6 missiles. Maybe there is a double pylon or something like that. I honestly don't know. I couldn't find it. But that would be the normal loadout. 4 BVR missiles, 2 short-range IR missiles. And then if you want to, extra 4, I think, under the wing hardpoints for missiles as well, right? So very interesting aircraft, to be honest. It is an aircraft that probably is not going to be the best aircraft in the game. It's a very specific in-use aircraft, right? It's kind of even hard to consider what you should expect in the terms of performance of this thing, because it does have a very good climb rate. It does have some good engines, but the thrust rate apparently is not the greatest thing ever. It doesn't have a cannon to do dogfights, but at the same time, it does have a delta design with canards, so we should be able to turn very well. So it's kind of a, I don't know, right? I personally think that in the game, I'm not talking about real life, in the game, for what we know in the game, it will probably be on par, but worse than, or maybe on par with the Eurofighter and the Rafale, maybe in turn, something along those lines. In climb rate, maybe a little bit worse and stuff. In a general sense, stealthy, but not as stealthy as other aircraft. And with some very good BVR capability, but not so good for dogfights because of the lack of a cannon. That's kind of the idea I have about this aircraft in War Thunder, okay? BRs, I mean, 15.0, 14.7 on the very least, I would say. Let's wait and see. I hope they do some decompression, but yeah. But basically, this is it. This is the J-20, the Chengdu J-20. An incredible aircraft due to what China, I mean, if you think about China, was what? Building J-7s at like 30 years ago, and now they have like more than 300 of J-20. So it's kind of scary how many of these they built and how good this aircraft technically could be. Maybe not the best thing out there, but one of the best, right? And that's enough. So very interesting, right? But anyway, I see you guys on the next one. Make sure to subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment, and bye guys, see you.